Alright, hold on. I think this would be a better setup if I just move this desk all the way over here to the wall. Slack you. I do it, cause gotta stand this phone up. But con, you know, con. Alright, shalom. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Wakak Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truth and in all sincerity, and Shalom in all truthfulness and in all sincerity, and Shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. This live is gonna be on the vision. It ain't tarrying, It's coming to pass right before your eyes, rapid fire style, like I said in the description, like one after another. And these Edomites, they're actually talking about they're talking about a civil war happening here in the States now. Now it's like mainstream. Before they would say it was unlikely. Hold on, what the fuck? Wait, hold the fuck up. All right, shalom, shalom, back. After that short interruption, thought I was gonna have to deal with some. But anyways, yeah, the whole point to this live, and I'm getting the whole point to this live is that the vision ain't tarrying. It's happening right before your eyes, Jake. It's happening right before your eyes. And you got mainstream media publications talking about a civil war between red and blue states, which was prophesied. Let me get it. The specific prophecy. Isaiah chapter 19. Let me get into it. Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. The burden of Egypt. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. The idols of Egypt, these statues getting taken down. So idol means image. They're revered images of men that are like revered. These Edomite Confederate generals and many of them, and soldiers and shit. These different Edomite politicians. That happens. And look, that has been happening. The idols of Egypt shall be moved moved at his presence. Also, everyone from them to Christopher Columbus, even Cesare Borgia, man. Shit, even George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, shit, even Abraham Lincoln, not been affected, has not been unaffected by what Esau calls cancel culture, because the truth has come out on these devils and their role in slavery. So their role in enslaving and oppressing Jake. Truth that was hidden. and the heart of Egypt, like how evil these men actually were. Basically, they wasn't like these people that were so that were so noble, whatever. You should look up to them. They were so good people. They were such good people. They were upstanding people. Like, damn, that's Thomas Jefferson type shit, right? Nah, not no more. They know he was a brutal slave owner. You know, he oppressed the fuck out of our people. That's what that's what the people know now. The idols of Egypt being moved at his presence. And the swift cloud is talking about the chariots and the so-called UFOs. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. The heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. The mind of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Verse 2, and which is Egypt all over again. You have the pyramid on the dollar bill, which shows that. You have obelisk over there in Washington, D.C., and in other areas as well. It's called a Washington Monument, right? It's an obelisk. This straight out of Egypt. You have Memphis, Tennessee. You also had a Memphis, Egypt. And it was on the Nile. You have Memphis, Tennessee, and it's on the Mississippi River. So that's like the Nile of America. And then you have a city called Phoenix. Phoenix is a mythical Egyptian bird. You know, that destroy itself in fire and come back, basically. Like, that's why they say out of the ashes, like a phoenix, right? So you have Phoenix, Arizona, and that area is called the Valley of the Sun. If that don't sound like some Egyptian shit to you, I don't know. I don't know what does. That's straight out of ancient Egypt right there. You even have a, I believe you have a city called New Egypt, showing you that this is Egypt all over again. New Egypt, New Jersey. You have a city called New Egypt in New Jersey. See, these devils know. They knew what they was doing. Hold on. Let me check my live. See if it's still up. Khan. Kala Yahba Shim Yao Shaba Shimaka. Oh man. That's what's up. I can continue edifying, feeding the sheep. But anyways, let me continue. All right. You also have a Little Egypt. A Little Egypt area in Illinois. It's in southern Illinois. It's called Little Egypt. Interesting. Why do they call that? Because, okay, this is their official story. This is why Esau says that their area is called that. You have a Cairo, Illinois. Come on. Southern Illinois has long been referred to as Little Egypt, quote unquote. This nickname may be the result of the practices of early settlers from northern Illinois who traveled to southern Illinois to buy grain after a series of bad winters and droughts. In Egypt, the king was thought of as a living god. Okay, well, you know, however it came out, like however that hey, that name stuck for some reason, right? It's a sign. This place is Egypt all over again. Also, you have what? You have both kingdoms enslaved here. You have the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom enslaved here. The last place where both kingdoms were enslaved was in ancient Egypt. So, you know, that's how this place is Egypt all over again. And these Edomites are the modern day Egyptians. Could picture a dollar bill, the pyramid on the Great Seal of the US, instead of an Egyptian man whooping a Jake, uh, an Edomite whipping a Jake, or an Edomite whip crack, an Edomite whip crackery, whip cracker that was hired by Esau to whip a Jake. Because that sometimes Esau would hire Jakes to do it. Well, it would really make them do that shit. But yeah, same concept. Who hired them, right? Edomite whipping a Jake. Picture it. This place is Egypt all over again. The place of our bondage. Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So what is that? That's civil war. They shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor. It's clear, right? City against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Like these different states are like different kingdoms, but they're like kingdoms within the kingdom, though. Texas, Texas could be its own country, and actually do all right. It has so much resources. So could Cali. I think so could Florida. I heard Florida too could do it, but definitely Texas and Cali. They could be their own kingdom, their own country. So, there you go. Verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. That's happening. That's actually happening. The spirit of Egypt, what is that? Patriotism, so-called American patriotism. Being proud to be an American. That's no longer big as it was before, It used to be real big, considered the shit to be an American. Now it's like now people are saying they're ashamed of being Americans. Ashamed of being Americans. And you used to get cussed out and called a commie for that shit. But yeah, man. The spirit of Egypt is failing according to prophecy, right? The vision is speaking. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy it, but it's going to completely fail. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, verse 3, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Yeah, the spirit of Egypt is failing, and the council is being destroyed. The council is through, man. From these elites can't even push their conspiracies, push their agenda They can't pull off false flags as smoothly as before because they keep getting exposed. You know, you'll have some Edomite, this lower level Edomite may have connection to some upper level Edomites that is dropping dime on the elites because they have a axe to grind against each other, man. The curse is heeding Esau. Deuteronomy 30:7. It's Esau's turn, man. Let me get that. In fact, it goes into it. And Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. What was one of the curses that hit our people? What was one of the curses that hit our people in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter? Let me get into it. Deuteronomy 28 and 54, man. That evil eye, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his children, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Yeah, and that's a process. Really, we look at it, it started with our people when the northern kingdom split from the southern kingdom. After Rehoboam became king, and he didn't listen to the people. Northern kingdom was like, we out of here. It started then. And then it was Jake just kept getting more divided as a nation, man. Until and we went into captivity, northern then the southern kingdom, and we just got more and more divided, more and more through, more and more lost, until where we're at today. We calling ourselves Black, Latino, Native, mainly, but you have speckled birds or Israelite foreigners that look like other nations, and they're calling themselves another more bywords as well that were assigned to them by the heathens, by Esau and the heathens. With their eyes evil against each other, man. Jake has no love for Jake out here. And that's all kingdoms. That's all these Jake. That's most of these Jakes don't have no love for their brother. They hate him without a cause because they hate each other. I mean, because they hate themselves. Because they hate themselves. They hate who they is. Because they've been taught that they're inferior and they accepted it. They've been how many generations have our people been taught that, oh, we're nothing but beasts, we're nothing but savages, we're nothing but criminals, we're inferior, we came from monkeys and shit like that. It's been beat into our people's brains over and over and over and over again, And so what did our people eventually do? Being brain defiled into thinking that, dumbed down, Edomatized and traumatized, Willie Lynched and shit, into thinking, into moving that way. They start moving that way more, and that's what you have today. That's why 2/3 of Jake do act like do act like a bunch of beasts. It's true because of generations of social engineering by these devils. So that's even worse today. The man that is tender among you and very delicate. We used to have mad love for our own people, man. We used to have mad love for our own people, for Yasharala, man. But that went away, you know. What they say now, ain't no love in the heart of the city, 'cause there ain't, you know, towards the wife of his bosom. And it goes both ways. Scriptures go into it. You have that because, there's like a gender war between the men of the nations and the men of our nation and the women of our nation. It's like a gender war. And right now, the women have the upper hand. Why a woman shall compass a man. I've created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. So that has led to a lot of, I would say, a lot of, well, you have you have that backlash against it. Also, because the system makes it a bitch to be a dad. The system makes it a bitch to be a dad. It's all by design. Esau designed it the way he designed it on purpose, so that you don't want to have kids nowadays. But it's gonna lead to this. Gonna lead to Jacob's trouble, man. It's gonna lead to that attitude in Jacob's trouble. Well, everything is leading to it, but it's gonna lead to that attitude in Jacob's trouble, that mindset of the people in Jacob's trouble, since already beast-like. Verse 55, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege, and in the straightness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. That happened to us over and over. It happened to us in 70 AD, happened to us then within the walls of Jerusalem. That happened then. It happened during the various, it happened in Fort. There was probably times, when the Northern Kingdom was being, when they were being like conquered and shit, where you had that happen. And the Southern Kingdom was being taken down, the Jakes that ruled Europe, the Moors and the Knights, the black nobility, so-called black nobility that ruled Europe. When they were being taken down, man, you had that. You had a cannibalism. The eyes of the eyes of these different Jakes against each other was already evil, man, because of them curses, man. But Esau just furthered it. He furthered the affliction and made it worse. But now, hey, these curses is falling upon them. and it's going to be in full effect in the kingdom. Verse 56, even this, the tender and delicate woman among you also, which will not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground. That's how our woman was. For delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom and toward her son and toward her daughter. That happened. That's been happening to our people. Eve, said, man, way she treat Jake. Even the so-called Latina woman, Northern Kingdom Eves, and to a lesser extent. The Southern Kingdom have it the worst. And then even the speckled birds, man, be getting it too. But yeah, all these curses are coming upon our enemies, man. Verse 57, hey, they gonna be eating each other too, man. These low-level Edomites, it's gonna hit. This trouble is gonna hit them too, man. Alex Jones was talking about, some about I think he said something about he'll eat his daughters or some shit. Like, what the fuck? Which, he could be, I know it's brothers who say he's an Edomite, brothers who say he's a Jake. But Edomites really get down like that, just like during the cave times. Verse 57, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children, which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for one of all things. It's going to lead to this mindset. It's leading to it. Secretly in the siege and straightness are with thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. But you're going to have these lower level, reject Edomites, doing that to each other. And then you're going to have these reject Jakes, man, these 2/3, man, doing that to each other. Eating each other and shit. It's going to get that bad. Killing each other, murdering each other, eating each other. Jakes are going to take sides in these civil wars, man. Acting like Egyptians. Acting as Egyptians. Acting on behalf of Egyptians. Because they think of themselves as Egyptians. Like, you're going to have a lot of Jakes take sides with Biden and shit. And the Biden supporting states and cities and municipalities and shit. And then you're going to have some that take side with Trump. So you're going to have that. And then there's also going to be a race war too between the 2/3 who think of themselves as Americans, aka Egyptians, and modern day Egyptians, and the Edomite modern day Egyptians, the oppressors of our people. So, yeah, verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. It definitely happened. That's definitely about to happen. They shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And it's the curses destroying the 2/3 completely. And it's the curses cleaving upon Esau. 2 birds, 1 stone. Ultimately, the evil eye that Esau is having against each other, the curses hitting them is going to be why they destroy each other, shooting nukes on each other. Russian Edomites versus Babylonian, because this is Babylon too. versus Babylonian Edomites, but they all oppress us like Egyptians. NATO, EU, Edomites versus the US, Babylonian Edomites, Division. Kingdom divided shall not stand. You're going to have that civil war. It's being spoken of. Oh, let me get into this, because I was getting into verse 3 as well. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Because America, the religion of America has been the religion of Christianity, with the so-called white man being the so-called white man being shown, the religion of the Americans, not the elites. They know that that's the elites. They openly worship the spiritual demon Satan and all these other demons, man. But all these other demons that they have idols or images of. But the mainstream America, in the past called themselves Christians. Basically they're worshiping Caesar Borgia or Serapis Christus. It even goes back to that, which goes back to the Ptolemies, the Egyptian Ptolemies, the Greek-speaking Edomites who became Egyptians and ruled Egypt, the Ptolemaic dynasty. They had an idol called Serapis Christus that they created. And if you look at the image of Serapis Christus, that's the image that they show as our Lord as well. It's completely blaspheming. That's complete blasphemy. And then Caesar Borgia, also based off of that, Yep, Serapis Christus. Yep, was another name. Yep, Christus was another name for the Egyptian god Serapis, because that's a Greek title. Christus may be translated as Messiah, though the term because it means anointed one, though the term need not to apply to any specific Messiah. Such as whom these basically the people of the world know as Jesus, but that's not his real name. It's Yahweh Shai. He saves, he delivers in Hebrew. Because he was a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah. But yeah, anyways, yeah, Serapis, also spelled Serapis, was a Greco-Egyptian deity of the sun, first encountered at Memphis, where his cult was celebrated in association with that of the sacred Egyptian bull Apis. Which all that, to sum it up, goes back to Nimrod, Merodach, then Nimrod, and really Satan, because Nimrod was emblematic of the spiritual demon Satan, for these heathens. It's really all Satan. I'm gonna stop there. It's really all Satan that they're worshiping. So that idol represents Satan, really. Yep. Oh, and he was Zeus too. Zeus too. Yeah, Khan, that's where they get it from. Zeus Serapis was usually depicted with a grain basket or measuring cup on his head, symbolizing wealth and harvest. Although Serapis was originally a god of the dead, Zeus Serapis became the god of the sun, the god of healing and the most powerful and important god. Going the fuck off. So, sun god, that was sun worship. Also, sun worship too, which is why Sunday is the most venerated day in Christianity, man. It's they merged, they merged, they tried to make paganism look biblical. That's what they did. And then Esau came along before, when Jake was ruling in the Middle Ages, you had like the true image was known, man. The true image of Yahushua, according to Revelation chapter 1, 13 going down to 15. Him being the so-called black man, it was known. Then you had you had Constantine that first created Christianity, merging, the beliefs of Hamashiachim, the elect, the church of Yahushua and the elect, the gathering of the elect, right? The gathering, the elect, right? We was called, basically, you had that, and they merged it with paganism. That's what happened, including all these pagan holidays and calling them, well, they're folly days and calling them holidays or holy days. Saying the Lord was born on Nimrod's birthday and all that. Celebrating Easter. Easter, that come from Ishtar when you trace it back, who was Semiramis. Okay, so that's been the religion that most mainstream Americans, citizens of America, inhabitants of the U.S. of America. What I mean by that. What is meant by that. But it's the religion that most of them have believed in. Going into what I was going into. And you have different denominations, but it's the same sort of message. It's just variations of it. And I'll destroy the spirit of Egypt. That's a part of it, man. Shall fail in the midst thereof. Really, Esau's version of Christianity with the Caesarea Borgia image of, it was pushed on our people to use the zeal of our people against us. Use our zeal against us. Because we have zeal for the Most High Yahweh, but not according to knowledge as a people, right? In general, as a people, Jake has a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Esau, thought to use that against us, man. And he did. Did use it against us. He did. Push the Christianity, push that so-called white Christianity, which really all that is so-called white supremacy. It's Edomite supremacy. That's what it is. It's Edomite supremacy. Had our people believing in Edomite supremacy? But yeah, that's part of that spirit of Egypt, spirit of bondage, right? Shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, because it kept their people in bondage mentally. And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek. That's been going on, and it's gonna get worse. You know, from the city council to the council of 13. And they shall seek to the idols. You probably have lower level, you probably have elite members of the elites dropping dime. And that's how the info is getting out. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. Yeah, they shall seek to the idols, other idols, man. You know, other images of demons. Like what? Like, hold on. Like, you know, what, you know, there's a lot of Jakes that's getting into ancestor worship, man. It's still idols, like still worshiping demons because you are your ancestor. You are your ancestor coming back. So it's worshiping demons. But yeah, you have Jake getting into that. Then you have Northern Kingdom, you know, going into the practices that they was going into before the Spanish speaking Edomites came, which was the reason why we got judged. Reason why Northern Kingdom got judged due to idolatry, extreme idolatry. But they getting back into that. You know, you have a lot of them. These half folk northern tribes that's doing that. You know, God, of course. You know, which God has never really been into Christianity like that. But you know, them going to that nature worship, which that was why God got judged again, idolatry. And Judah, no, idolatry and witchcraft. And then Judah, southern tribes too, even speckled birds, man. Even you have these groups of Israelite foreigners, the Israelite foreigners that look like these different nations, man. Esau, you know, going into hold on, I'm not done. I just gotta get some. Of course, I'm not done with it. Gotta get this charger. Don't want my phone to die. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, man. You know, they're getting into that. You know, they're going into basically what they was doing, you know, like before Christianity, you know, what they was doing. Because you had Jakes that was into, it wasn't just Jakes that was into, like you had different groups of Jakes. that was ruling Europe. You had, the Jakes that were, Christians, and then you had the Jakes that would be the black nobility that was Christians, so-called black nobility, and then you had the Muslim Moors, which you have Jake going into that too, and then you have what else? You have, and then you have Jakes that fight like the Vikings, for example. Those were actually Jakes. Those were so-called black. They were so-called black people. Some may have been speckled birds, and because around Esau and shit. But a lot of them were so-called black. They'll hide that shit. They'll hide that shit. And I think, because they're from the north, they're Edomites. Edomites is in the caves. So-called black people was ruling Europe. So-called black people was ruling Europe from all the way up in Scandinavia to and in Russia, all the way down to Italy and shit, man. Spain and shit. So you had Jake's ruling, man, over there too. And you had so the Vikings, what were they, man? What they believed? Paganism. Like straight up paganism. Yeah, Jake said got into that, man. They got into straight up paganism and shit. You had different cases of that, man. A lot of them people in the Greek mythology like Hercules and shit. Hercules that's based off of Jake, man. Yeah, basically, you know how Jake is, man. They'll how they tell a story, they're gonna exaggerate the fuck out of it. So over time, see how that took root, and then you had heathens buy into it like that. Those Japhites back then, and then Edomites that would come later as well. But they would make them look like Edomites, as they did. So what Esau do is he takes credit for what he does. Originally, that was all Jake said. But with Thor too, Thor was a so-called black man who used his hammer to he was swinging his hammer to hit Edomites. Actually hated Edomites, and he would hit them. Whatever, man. And then what they do? What did Esau do? Turn him into some blonde-haired, so-called white man. Because originally it was a so-called black man who hated Esau. those are Jake in his right mind. But yeah, of course, right? what Esau does, of course, takes all those practices and he takes all them practices and just puts his face on it. But yeah, you have jakes that get into that anyways. And you have jakes that they're speckled birds, man. Those be the speckled birds because you don't have no that because original looking in Northern Kingdom don't really be getting into that. They don't see it as that as their culture. But if you look like Esau, you think you're Esau. And you think and the Vikings they say that they're basically they're so-called white people. So yeah, a Jake that's a speckled bird would get into that. The one that and he woke up to Christianity, not being basically like not being consistent. Basically not being consistent with the scriptures and all that. So you gotta get some new. Now what will happen is they'll start thinking that the Bible is not really it's Christianity that's not legitimate. Really tripping. But yeah, that and Christianity, man, yeah, it's not as big even nowadays as it was before. You have these ministers, we have these false pastors complaining about how people ain't attending these so-called Christian churches. You have that, like especially among the youth, especially among Jake, and they're blaming us. They're blaming us. It's their fault. It's the Hebrew Israelites' fault. But yeah, let me continue, man, because we exposed the lies, man. Let me continue. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and the fierce king shall rule over them, say the Lord Yahweh of hosts. And that goes into really, you look at it, that's that martial law that's going to come out. They take the guns, after that civil war, they take the guns and the scriptures. They take the hard copy because it's too dangerous, according to them. It caused the whole war. It caused the whole war. We gotta confiscate the guns and Bibles. Caused the whole war. We like I Am Legend and shit out here. Boom. The Book of Eli. Still, it's like I'm still dealing with that pest problem, by the way. But yeah, when the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, say the Lord Yahweh of hosts. After the Civil War, it would be that New World Order. You're gonna have the Gurkha troops coming to Biden, or if it's Kamala Biden, gonna have she's gonna see her calling on the UN to intervene and shit. Send peacekeepers to Babylon. The people have gotten out of control. You're gonna have that. UN peacekeepers. He saw what he always said in the cavalry. So you're gonna have that's the end result, man. In these civil wars, it's all by design. These devils, man, they planned it out. They planned it out. Now they're pushing it out. I'm gonna get into that article. Matter of fact, I'll think about getting into these scriptures. Get into this article. So like going through it. And I will set the hold on. Slack. Let me get that article. Let me see if my live is still up. Gotta check it so often. Oh, yep, and got it. I got a troll. A spam troll. Spam troll. A roach. There's a roach on the comm board. Hit him with the raid. But hey, Carla, you see me outside by some crocodiles that I had. Yeah, that I'm still alive. All praises. This article: Red and blue states civil war between red and blue states. Yo, I think this is the one that one brother posted, because it was a post by this brother that inspired me to do this live. that was the Most High Yahweh giving me that the topic to go in on. But yeah, this is out of Northeastern University, article news at Northeastern EDU. This article out of it's from January 5th, 2022. Are red states and blue states on the verge of a civil war? So it's titled. Is caption suggestions for beefing up security around the U.S. Capitol, including the hiring of hundreds of officers, but Northeastern security experts warn of the dangers of a police state at the heart of American democracy. That's what they're coming with too, man. It's the setup for that police state. But let me get into this right here. This article right here. Quote unquote, civil war is coming. A New Jersey woman posted on social media days after participating in last year's storming of the U.S. Capitol, which that was a whole setup. That was an act. That was a false flag, man. Not like 9/11. That was a false flag, and there's proof of it as well. But yeah, indeed, you get the point. Indeed, America had not experienced a disruption in the peaceful transfer of power like what happened a year ago since the Civil War. Stark divisions between Democrats and Republicans make it appear as if the country is on the brink of tearing apart, but it wouldn't be accurate to call it a civil war, said a prominent national security expert at so there's on one hand these dudes is saying these Edomites is like nah, and then you have hold on. They're saying nah, but hey, they're putting it out. It's basically making the mainstream. The fact that that civil war is brewing, but these people are saying it's not gonna happen. But that's more peace and safety talk. Because I read through this article. Indeed, yeah, we need to be careful about what we mean by civil war. It said quote unquote said political science professor Max Abrams. While there's no consensus over the definition of the term, most scholars point out that a civil war requires a certain threshold of deaths on the government side and the resistance side. He said 5 people, including a Capitol police officer, died in the melee. So he's saying that this Max Abrams, this Edomite Max Abrams is saying that it's not gonna be a civil war, but that's not accurate. That's that peace and safety talk. Oh no. America will never get that violent. Which is not true. Which is not true. Matter of fact, let me get social. Well, hold on. Let me get peace and safety. That's scripture. What I mean by that, peace and safety talk. This is what I mean. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, this sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That whole, oh, it can't happen here. It's not going to happen here. You know, this is America. People are better than that here. No, they're not. No, they're not. Especially with the economic situation getting worse. They're not better. They're not as civilized as people think they are. People are not as civilized as even they would like to think they are. Here, you know. There was a famous quote by the Joker, man. Man, you see these civilized people, man. It goes somewhat like this. You see these civilized people out here, man. The right circumstances, basically, under the right circumstances, roughly quoted, they eat each other, basically. You know, these people, they're going to eat each other. You know, when you ain't got nothing to lose, you lose it. When people ain't got nothing to lose, they lose it. A quote by Gerald Spencer, man. He did. He basically is like a trend watching shit. Hold on. Let me get this. Yeah, with the Joker quote. The fuck, nigga. It's like Joker quote about chaos. E. All right, hold on. About society. E. Joker quote about people, about these civilized people will eat each other. Get that exact quote. And it's also according to prophecy. Yup, when the chips are down, yup, their morals, their code. I'm gonna stop that shit, sir. Their morals, their code. Let me get it. Yup, their morals, their code is a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. When the chips are down, these civilized people, quote unquote, they eat each other. And it's true. It's true. Yup. And these Edomites that direct these movies, they know that shit. There's Holly weird directors. Get this one as well. When the people, when people ain't got nothing to lose, right? To lose, they lose it. Lose their shit. Yep. It's actually a quote by this dude. When people have nothing left to lose and they've lost everything, they lose it. Yep. It's fucking true. So America can and will get that violent. That Edomite is wrong. You know that Edomite is wrong. That's piece of sacred talk. Like, ain't be no simple one. Trust me. Trust me, I'm an Edomite type shit. That's the spirit he's coming in, man. What do man not supposed to trust your enemy? Kind of goes into that. Trust not the enemy, KJV. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusted soul is his wickedness. And what these devils do is these devils will be like these deceivers, false accusers. That's what the word devil means. These devils, that's what they are. These devils, man, they'll tell you to calm down. These devils will tell you to well, basically they showed in the movies, man. We don't want the people to panic, but they don't want you to do really to prepare until until you have nothing to do but panic. Pretty much spiritually or carnally. But yeah, like carnally flesh, but basically pertaining to the flesh, like storing up shit. For example, prepping. Preppers, they store all types of food in there, which is actually not. You think it's wise, but it's not as wise as you think it is, cause get it. There's actually a parable going into it. The rich man in the barns. And his barns, yep. Because you may think that it's gonna work. Like, don't trust in it. You may think that it's gonna work, but the Most High Yahweh may have a different plan. He will cause something to happen to where maybe you can't get to your storehouse. You can't get to your shit. You'll be you'll be stuck somewhere, die there and shit. And you store it up, all that, you still die of famine because you got stuck because of a certain situation. Luke 12:16, and he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. Verse 17, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do because I have no room to bestow my fruits? Verse 18, and he said, this will I do. I'll pull down my barns and build greater. There will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. Yup. Verse 19, and I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take time thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. Verse 20, but power Yahweh said unto him, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? And a lot of these storehouses, they're gonna be, the elect is gonna stumble upon them, stumble upon like a whole bunker full of food, man. People will stay there for a few days. Jacob's trouble. During Jacob's trouble, the Most High Yahweh, He's gonna come through for His elect in different ways, man. Like that. You're gonna have cases where this rich ass Edomite, or even this rich celebrity Jake, he was on his way to his bunker, and he got caught in the situation. You know, could be any type. Jacob's trouble is gonna be all hell breaking loose. That's what happens. Verse 21. So he that layeth up treasure for so is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and he's not rich toward power Yahweh. His soul be required of him. But yeah, that's just like going into that real quick. But yeah, let me continue on with the topic at hand. So I'm gonna try to find another article, man. But that was like, oh nah, we don't think it's gonna be a civil war in America. We don't think it's ever gonna happen. Like, that's not true. Red states versus blue states civil war, man. They say that, nah, they're trying to downplay it. There's other articles. Oh, there's another one. Imagine a civil war, but within every American state. But within every U.S. state. Yo, that's a spirit. Imagine another American Civil War, but this time in every state. Yo, it shows Trump supporters in a counter uh, arguing with the counter protester in Detroit on the 5th of 2020, November 5th, 2020, in the caption. But yeah, it was published January 11, 2022's NPR article. Not long ago, the idea of another American Civil War seemed outlandish. Yep, these days, yeah, it used to be like, nah, it couldn't happen again. Like, we over that. But nah, man, it's actually been brewing. These days, the notion has not only gone mainstream, it seems to suddenly be everywhere. Wonder why? Predictive programming, conditioning. There's even a movie, Captain America Civil War. Captain America, which would symbolize Trump's America, versus Iron Man, which would represent Biden's America. Everybody thought it was gonna. People were thinking it was gonna be a civil war, man. Well, it was actually like it was starting to trend more. And that's some predictive programming shit right there, man. Because Esau, it's in his plans, the plans of the elites of Esau to introduce a civil war. Cause a second civil war in America. But let me get into this article. These days, the notion has not only gone mainstream, it seems to suddenly be everywhere. A reason for that civil war, Ordo ab Chaos, that's their motto. Third degree Freemasons. Ordo ab Chaos. So they create the chaos, then bring the order. Civil war, then Gurkha troops. The guns being snatched, the Bibles being snatched. Rights is curtailed. You don't no longer have any rights. They could finally introduce that new world order. Think about it. They would do that shit. But yeah, let me continue. Business Insider published a poll in October 2020 saying a majority of Americans believed the U.S. was already in the midst of a cold civil war. Yeah, you have cold wars and you have hot wars. Then last fall, the Cold War between the U.S. and Soviets, right? That's an example of that. Then that's an example of that. But yeah, then last fall, the University of Virginia Center for Politics, and if you look at it, it sort of has been, also being fought by proxies. Well, you have the Proud Boys versus Antifa and shit in the streets, and BLM in the streets, especially in Poland, man. It's been going. Slovakia, not. I meant Slovakia. My bad. I meant to say Portland, Oregon, and they've been at each other's throats over there, man. And Portland, the Edomite version of Chirac. Let me continue. They at each other's throats over there, bad. Then last fall, the University of it's Battleground Portland. Then last fall, the University of Virginia Center for Politics released a poll finding that, and we know, hold on before I go on, we know that, that's being stoked by the elites, with their agent provocateurs and shit, but, there's actual people that, really believe in those causes that's buying into it. But let me continue, which was the whole purpose of that, of that shit, of course, right? They want a civil war. But let me continue. Then last fall, the University of Virginia Center for Politics released a poll finding that a majority of people who had voted to re-elect former President Donald Trump in 2020 now wanted their state to secede from the union. Yup, hey, that's a big one. The UVA data also showed a stunning 41% of those who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 also said it may be time to split the country. That civil war, it's ruined. Whatever that other devil said. Whatever that other devil said, man. Whatever that other devil said, he's trying to calm the he's trying to push that peace and safety talk. Fuck what he said. Ignore that. Researchers, even though that's a fulfilling prophecy as well, when they shall say peace and safety. But let me continue. Researchers have found such downbeat assessments of America's democracy are especially salient among the young. Last month, the Institute of Politics at Harvard's Kennedy School published a poll that found half of voting age Americans under 30 thought our democracy was in trouble or failing. Like, this shit ain't working out, man. A third also said they expected there to be a civil war within their lifetimes. And a quarter thought at least one state would succeed, like Texas. you know, you already know, man. Texas and Florida. That'd be the first two states, I believe. I could see it happening. But let me get this right here. The reason why it's not working out also, can two walk together lest they be agreed? Red states and blue states can't agree on shit. Amos 3:3. Can two walk together? Hey, that's a spirit. Kala Yahweh Shem Yahushua Shem Kakadash. That's the spirit. I didn't even think of this scripture like that before, but yo, it fits. Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Can two walk together except they be agreed? No, they can't, man. They can't. They're always gonna be getting into it. They're always gonna be getting into it, beefing with each other, man. It's just facts, man. So red states and blue states, they barely agree with each other. And now this whole sense of American unity, whatever, is like, it's through. It's fucked because of the elections being rigged, for both sides. Trump in 2016, Biden in 2020. So now you have shady shit being done by both sides. So that sense of unity is like, of U.S. unity is just out the fucking window. And it was bound to be out the fucking window, man. It was finna happen, man. Like, the trend was heading there, and now you see it. So no, red states and blue states can't walk together because they don't be agreeing with each other. Just that alone shows shows that civil war, man, is close, because they're not even able to reconcile, man. They're not even what I'm trying to say. They're not even resolving their differences. They're growing apart, more apart, more apart. The disputes between the red and blue states are getting more heated, more heated, more heated, and more heated. They're actually beefing more than they was before. You had a time when they wouldn't do that shit as much, man, when they would settle it, so-called, like, for the good of the US or whatever, man. Now they're like, no, fuck you. Now they're like that. Now they're like, fuck you. Red, the proud Republican Edomites is like, fuck you, left leaning liberal snowflake ass devils. And then the on the flip side, you have the the liberal, you know, so-called liberal, democratic blue state, snowflake devils being like, fuck you, damn Trump supporter motherfuckers, man. Y'all is backwards and y'all is racist. Y'all be showing that racism openly and shit and not hiding it. Fuck y'all for that. Y'all the ones holding the country back. Y'all won't take the vax. What the fuck's wrong with y'all? Y'all don't want to wear masks. Y'all don't want to mandate masks and shit. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Type shit. Y'all holding the country back, not believing the science. See, you had the beef getting worse, and the MAGA hatters is, and those who agree, right, are like, hey, fuck all that mask shit, man. Hey, take that that experimentals, like, take that, you know how the serpent is, waiting in the grass, ready to strike. You know how the basically, but anyways, you could take that I think you could take all those jabs up the ass. They're like that, you know, keep them the fuck away from us. Not mandating that shit here. Or the masks and shit, they ain't even with that really. You have them red state Edomites and even them Jakes that, you know, they yeah, because you have Jakes taking sides in Esau's civil war. So you have the Republican voting Jakes that's speckled birds and, some Northern Kingdom mainly taking sides and being like, nah, fuck all that. Mess me with all that shit, man. The mandates and shit, I don't swing that way. And then you have the Democratic side being like, nah, man, you're tripping. Just believe the science that, the physician of no value himself, Dr. Funk E. Cheese, is pushing. Just believe the science. Bullshit. Pseudoscience is what that is. But you have that beef getting hotter. That that gap between the red and blue states widening. So they definitely don't agree with each other. So just Amos 3:3 shows that it proves that there's going to be a civil war, another civil war in the U.S. Amos 3:3 proves it. A divided kingdom. What's that? It's in Matthew 24. Wait, no, Matthew 12. A divided kingdom or queendom in this case, feminist ass country where the woman is on top. That's why I call it that. Matthew 12:25, and Yahushua knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So there you go. There you go, man. This place is through. It's not going to stand. Just based off of that. And then furthermore, verse 26, and if Satan, which means adversary, goes back to Shaitan, meaning adversary in the Hebrew, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? But he was responding to some scoffing ass Pharisees, trying to claim that he casted out demons, using the spiritual demon Satan, basically, the prince of the demons, when they was tripping. But, What he said, it stands true, man. Every kingdom divided against itself. He's like, no, it don't make sense because every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. You can't agree, you can't unite, you know, can't walk together. How is that establishment going to stand? In response to them scoffing ass Pharisees. Verse 24, but when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this fellow does not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of the devils. Which you look into that word, it's demonios. So it's really talking about demons. But yeah, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Yep. And Satan is divided against Satan. The physical sons, man, of Satan on earth, these Edomites, are divided against each other. They can't walk together because they can't agree. So this place is through, man. Researchers have found just on that, this place is through. Researchers have, and its end is soon, man. It hath an end. Researchers have found, but that kingdom cannot stand, but hath an end. And I love how it puts it here. That kingdom cannot stand, but hath an end. I love how it puts it. In Mark 36, and if Satan rise up against himself, and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Yep. And if a house, verse 25, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Yep. Verse 24, and if a kingdom can be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And he was talking about how can Satan cast out Satan, speaking of demons there. But apply it to these physical sons of Satan. And the Satan rise up against himself and be divided. He cannot stand, but it hath an end. Mark 3:26. Yep. But anyways, continuing this article, the more one hears this particular drum beat, the louder it becomes. Yep, the drums of war. Civil War. Late last year, the University of Maryland and what Washington Post. Before I get into that, you have to think wasn't the leaders of why wasn't the leaders of the Confederacy why wasn't the Confederacy really punished like that? You have to think. Because the elites had it in mind, man. It was hold on. Why do they have hold on. They basically left a framework for another civil war. It's all right. It's like they basically I had to take care of some bullshit, but they basically Uh, hold on. They basically, left the framework there for another civil war, man. And then they allowed them to put up statues of Confederates, man, because basically, so-called it's to remember history or whatever nowadays. But back then it was because Jake wanted to be considered equal under the law with Esau, and they wanted to put those basically like make those people into heroes. Those Confederate generals and slave owners and shit. But yeah, so you have the framework for another civil war, man. You had them talking about the South surviving again. Even that's the elites set it up, for it to happen again. The civil war, just to bring order out of chaos. The chaos that they created. But hold on, let me continue. The more one, okay, yeah. Late last year, the University of Maryland and the Washington Post produced a poll saying that 1/3 of Americans thought violence against government was sometimes justified. A belief, yep, sometimes, hold on, was sometimes justified. A belief they found even more widely held among Republicans and independents. According to the Post, just about 1 American in 10 held that view in the 1990s. So now it's even more. It's 1/3. One out of 3 Americans believe it, and it's even more widely held among Republicans and independents. You could tell just looking through social media too, man. Yeah, man. Those Trump supporters, yeah, nah, they do. I do have that. And then you have the Biden supporters as well, man. A lot of them. But even more widely held among Republicans and independents. Why? Because you have Biden up there. If you had Trump up there, it would be on the flip side. But yeah, let me continue. Do the respondents in all these polls fully realize what these terms mean or their answers imply? Possibly not. Talk is often cheap, and pollsters can ask a lot of provocative questions in pursuit of something noteworthy or buzzworthy. Okay, whatever. What do people even mean by be like, okay, whatever. What do people even mean by quote unquote civil war? Let us assume that it would not be a return to the 1960s, where 11 southern states left the Union. Hold on. And hold on. And fought a 4-year war to assert their right to do so and preserve the practice of slavery, which had basically chattel, and the slavery was chattel slavery. Be individual Edomites, owning Jake instead of the elites. And basically the North was, for the opposite. They want the elites to own them. The Industrial Revolution is the new way type shit. That's what it really was about, man. They don't tell you the truth in the schools. The Emancipation Proclamation, didn't free Jake. It was a transfer of ownership. That's what emancipate goes into. So our people are still slaves here. Chattel slaves to the elites. To the elites. The birth certificate goes into that. Your parents are basically signing you basically signed you away to be a slave, chattel slave to ultimately the Rothschild when you trace it. But unknowingly, they got tricked. But let me continue. What do people even mean? Okay, yeah, which had about 4 million. Of course, they're going to say African American, but we know that's Judah in bondage at the time. Judah and some Gad and Reuben. The American Civil War, Israelites. The American Civil War cost the lives of at least 600,000 Americans and contributed to the deaths of many thousands more. It devastated the South economically, left most of those in the region who had been emancipated, transfer of ownership, to lives of peonage and penury. What the fuck is peonage? That's what the word peon come from. Debt slavery, you're a peon, right? Debt peonage, also called debt slavery or debt servitude, is this is a system. So it's a form of slavery, but not slavery. Also called debt slavery or debt servitude, is a system where it's scriptural. The borrower is servant to the lender. Is a system where an employer compels, it's the curses too, where an employer compels the worker to pay off a debt with work. Legally, peonage was outlawed by Congress in 1867. Workers were often unable to repay the debt and found themselves in the continuous work without pay cycle, the condition or service of a peon. So that's the true meaning of a peon. I grew up thinking that peon was, a combination of the words P and on, which, makes sense. But, it's not, it goes into peonage. Learn something new every day. All right, but anyways, let me get you shall be the tail. God, Deuteronomy 28 and 44, Deuteronomy 28 and 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Verse 44, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. That is the curses. Different ways the curses hit our people. And penury, let me get what penury is. Penury. Oh, that's a cramping and oppressive lack of resources such as money. Oh, shit. Severe poverty. Extreme and often stingy frugality. Destitution. Indigence. Same shit. Like you're homeless. Homeless people live in penury, for example. Indigence, poverty, and want. While all these words mean the state of one with insufficient resources, penury suggests a cramping or oppressive lack of money. It's a life without shelter, food, clothing, and water. Being destitute, extreme want, poverty, destitution. Homelessness. That's penury right there. Extreme poverty. That's what it is. Penury is extreme poverty. But you don't even got a roof over your head type shit. I do. But I'm still pretty fucking poor. Uh, yeah. They had Jake like that, man. You could look into that time period. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Moreover, it did little to settle the constitutional issue of quote unquote states' rights, a problematic point in our national conversation ever since. Yep, silent in the struggles for civil rights and voting rights, it remains so in the squabbles over the mask and you know shit juice mandates of today. States' rights still a dragon juice mandates of today. States' rights still with us. Yup. And Esau, he had that set up on purpose like that. So then he could justify just completely cracking down. That's how this devil do it. Incrementalism as well. That's something that he do. States' rights still with us. The rights of states to go their own way and on fundamental issues are still front and center. Ugh. In the Supreme Court, where abortion rights pose an immediate, well, it's not, it's so-called rights. It's not an actual right. It's not even constitutional. Of course, Esau is going to push that it's a right, but consider the source. But, yeah, anyways, yeah, let me continue. Texas and other states want to make the procedure all but unavailable. While most of the nation prefers this, of course, they're going to say that shit because, it's biased. I could tell it's biased. While most of the nation prefers the access granted nationwide by the court's Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, which is not completely true. But of course, they're going to say that because justified. Esau was going to justify that abortion bullshit. But yeah, let me continue. Biden and Trump supporters gesture at one another. Oh, okay, yeah, it shows it. Basically showing a division as they argue while Trump supporters demonstrate against the election results in Detroit on November 5th, 2020. Quote unquote, we already are seeing border war. We already are seeing border war with individual states passing major legislation that differs, considerably from that in other places, quote unquote, said Daryl West, director of governance studies at the Brookings Institution. Another one of them that's another crafty council of Esau. Another one of those secret councils of these devils, the Brookings Institution, fucking think tank. And William Gale, a Brookings Senior Fellow in Economic Studies, which have written a pair of articles on the fraying of the American and social and political fabric. And they'll do this shit. They'll do shit like that. And them devils be the same ones causing it. They note that conflicts between entire states are not the only way civil war may emerge in one time or even the most likely. When and if the issue turns to violent confrontations between local citizens and federal officers or between contentious groups of citizens, the clash might well take place more closer to home. Yup, as West and Gale write, today's toxic atmosphere makes it difficult to negotiate on important issues, which makes people angry with the federal government and helps create a winner-take-all approach to politics. When the stakes are so high, people are willing to consider extraordinary means to achieve their objectives. Yeah, you know, so-called bipartisanship, this shit don't exist type shit. They used to talk about that shit more, but now they like fuck that. And what do these careful scholars mean by quote unquote extraordinary means? Quote unquote, America has an extraordinary number of guns and private militias. Yep, they write. How many? They cite the National Shooting Sports Foundation estimate of 434 million firearms in civilian possession in the U.S. right now. That would be 1.3 guns per person. No, yup, Americans are armed to the teeth, especially in states like Texas, especially in them Trump supporting states. They're armed to the teeth. Quote unquote, semi automatic weapons comprise around 19.8 million in total. They add anonymously, quote unquote, making for a highly armed population with potentially dangerous capabilities. I mean, they gonna play their role too. Esau have the elites of Esau have much more advanced weapons, of course, but you're gonna have these civilians, these everyday, Joe Schmoes and even Jakes. They're gonna they're gonna play their role. Uprising against Esau, against Big E. So, quote unquote. Okay, I already read that. The New York Times recently reviewed How Civil Wars Start by political scientist Barbara F. Walter of the University of California at San Diego. This way I'm able to bring this out, Mosiah, how about Hashem Yahushai, showed me the way, the Mosiah, how he guided me to this truth. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in it. Neither would any of us. We would be lost in the world. We believe that that Babylon is going to keep on going on into eternity. Like there's going to be a U.S. in the year 4000 or some shit. Tripping. But yeah, let me continue. In an interview with NPR member station KPBS in San Diego a year ago, Walter said the January 6th attack on the Capitol was surprising, but should not have been because we had been watching quote unquote American democracy decline since 2016. I say it since before then. This shit been through. A scholar of international law, Walter adds, quote unquote, the US used to be considered a full democracy. Bro, it was always an oligarchy. What the fuck you talking about? But it's a quote by this Edomite. Like Norway, Switzerland, or Iceland, she said, quote unquote, now it's considered a partial democracy, like Ecuador, Somalia, or Haiti. Oh yeah, Haiti's always having civil wars and shit too. Like some shit's always going down in Haiti. Oh, in Somalia too with them Hamites. And in Ecuador, with them Northern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom of Asherites, drawing different. But let me continue. Drawing different lines. Say, oh, hey, that's scriptural. Isaiah 14. There's a scripture that makes me think of Isaiah 14. Has thou become like one of us? Isaiah 14 and 9. Hail from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from the thrones all the kings of the nations. Verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Like, oh shit. America not you Americans not so bad after all, huh? Not so big and bad after all, huh? The US, oh shit, US is having civil wars now. See, nations is looking at Babylon. These nations and countries is looking at Babylon, aka America, and licking their chops, man. Like, hey, this place through, man. This place through. You know the big bully Debo, you know, is wounded. It's like Debo, America, like Debo. They're like, America been like Goliath, which is what Debo was based off of, by the way. Debo was based off of the character of Goliath. Then Friday they got that from the scripture. Pray, David. Pray based off of David, man. Just regular as David out there. You know, regular type body. And Devo, that big old Jake. But he represents Goliath in there. America's like been like Debo. Everybody hated Debo, but because Debo was so big, you know, he was so big he could just take your shit and it wouldn't matter. But everybody hated him. You know, America been that bully. America's been that bully on the block, and now it's being hey man, now the nations are seeing, oh sweet, America ain't big and bad no more. The other nations and countries, like like yeah, it's our time now. Art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Verse 11, even thy pomp is brought down to the grave, that American pomp. Oh yeah, look at big bad America. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Worms mean corrosion, man. Well, when your body dies, man, worms dead body, dead body, bring it down. So, but like this place is dead, man. The vibe of this place is dead. A dead, a dead, a dead queen of walking. America's dead, man. The place is dead. The place is dead. The vibe is dead. You know, she's dead, man. America's days are numbered. You know, many tekel yasharala. The kingdom has been divided. This time, instead of being given to the Medes and Persians, being given to the Israelites. Mene tekel yasharala. Yup, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Yep. Verse 12. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Lucifer means light bearer, and it's talking about a man. You know, O Lucifer, son of the morning. That's what it say. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Light bearer, son of the morning, translated. Really, it should have been lowercase because that's a word. It means light bearer. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down? It's not like really a name, it's a word. How art thou cut down to the ground, which this weaken the nations? Yep, that big bad bully America. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend unto heaven. You know, who rules America? Who rules Babylon? It's Babylon all over again. Who rules Babylon? Esau. He's the king of Babylon. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, which is what Isaiah chapter 14 is about. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Really specifically speaking of the elites of Esau. Lower level Edomites just benefit, but they don't benefit as much as the elites, which actually make the decisions here in America. But let me continue. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High. This is what he thinks he's going to accomplish. This devil, you know, but with this pride, you know, he thinks he's going to accomplish that. But he's going to be brought down, and there's signs of this kingdom being brought down. Verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. To the sides of the pit, man. No, you're going to be brought down to hell, you know, to Shawal, to the sides of the pit. You know, verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? It did shake kingdoms. Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness. He's like Devo, man. He made the earth to tremble. It did shake kingdoms. Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. 100%. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. They opened not the house of his prisoners. Yep. You know, won't let Jake go, man. So there are people that were anything but Israelites. Just a bunch of bywords and proverbs, racial slurs, different types. They opened up the house of his prisoners. Yeah, talking about the prisoners, the the prisons, industrial complex systems that has it's full of Jakes, so-called black people, Latinos, and Natives, and the speckled bird. The majority of the population is they hold on. Yeah, man. They opened not the house of his prisoners, but also Babylon, USA. That's a big. It's a big prison. It's a big prison itself for Jacob. It's a POW camp, really, when you look at it, for Jacob. And they're not letting us out, man. You know, we as a nation of people are locked up, and they won't let us out. We're locked up. They won't let they won't let us out, man. But thou art cast out of thy grave. Wait, that's further on. Then that's what's gonna happen to this place, and that motherfucking devil who rules it. That's what's gonna happen to it. You know, it's gonna be destroyed in Esau. It's gonna be destroyed. The foundation of this motherfucking crib of this apartment building is not too good, or maybe it's just the floor. It's not too good, man. It's built shitty. It's built real shitty. That type of shit shouldn't be happening. This is that. Hold on. Fuck, that shit nasty. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. And as okay, verse 18. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. Yo, that's what's gonna eventually happen after the 1,000 years of slavery. Yo, 144 when I looked at the time, right when I said that, like confirmation, doing the right thing. You know, these heathens are gonna go back, you know, to their homeland, but Esau's gonna be through, you know, because he destroyed not only our people but his, man. Not only our people and the rest of the nation, but his, man. Verse 19, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Verse 20, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Never be renowned. First, they're not going to get their land back. They're going to be done away with. Verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children. They're not going to get the land of Esau back, you know. They're going to be done away with. Verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Verse 22, for I will rise up against them, say the Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant and son and nephew. Say the Yahweh, man. It's talking about the king of Babylon. You know, these Idumeans, the modern day rulers. You know, and also this place. This is the beginning of this process, man. The destruction of Babylon the Great and Esau getting taken down, and he's playing a role in it. Esau himself is playing a role in it. You know, thinking he's doing something, dividing his own kingdom. What the fuck, tripping? I'm just gonna destroy it and build it back up. Tripping. The geographical divides in our time are different from those. Oh yeah, drawing different lines today. The geographical divides in our time are different from those of the 1860s. We can still trace the original Mason-Dixon line that separated the regions of free soil from slave states, so-called free soil, from slave states. but you get it though. And quote unquote, and there are real differences on either side of that ancient demarcation even today. But the most meaningful geographic separation in our society is no longer as tidy as north and south or east and west. It is the familiar divide between urban and rural, or to update that bit, metro versus non-metro. Yeah, the metropolis, man, the metropolis, the mother city versus non-metro, like the even the suburbs, man. These suburban units. Then you have the outskirts, which is different. It's like that instead, yo. Thus, a blue state such as Maine has popular coastal counties that voted for Biden, and sparsely populated interior counties that went heavily for Trump, enough to tip the majority to him in one of the state's two congressional districts. Conversely, in a ruby red state, Nebraska, one congressional district anchored in the city of Omaha went for Biden. Yo, yo, man. The dynamic also shows up in the biggest population states. The top prizes in the electoral college. In California, where the coastal cities are famously liberal, the Central Valley counties are still far more conservative. Yeah, yeah, bro. The Central Valley states, Northern Cali and shit, north of San Fran, Northeast Cali, really. Northern Cali, especially Northeast Cali. That's like that's where the immigrant in California is. So that's where the immigrant in California is. The Republican ass area, that area is that area is lost to it. So, that's like that area over there, and over there, it'd be like going to basically be like if you was in the South. Heard about it, but yeah. Hold on. All right, get back to it. Yeah, and in Texas, Biden carried the six largest metros in 2020, due largely to their growing numbers of, it says people of color, but we know they mean Drake. Most of the state's 254 counties are outside these metros. In rural Texas, the Republican vote share is still the lion's share. Yeah, because you have San Antonio, which went for Biden. You have Austin, went for Biden. Which those are those California type Edomites, man. They went for Biden. You have and then those Jakes are also gonna go. The Jakes that are there, they would also go for Biden, but not as much as these Edomites like to say, but enough, that they'll basically these Republican leaning Edomites, they and the Jakes that would take their side, they'll blame Jake as a whole for voting for Biden. That's where that race war come into. But you have San Antonio, Austin, Dallas as well. Dallas Fort Worth area, Judah, and Ishkar, Judah, Dallas, Fort Worth being more Ishkar, like me more populated with Ishkar, man. Houston, Texas, El Paso, the Valley. Those areas will be like more for like the Democrats and shit. Xingao. And the outskirts of those areas, of each of those areas, Republican. Like Republican as fuck. And the small towns, Republican as fuck. That may change over time, but for now we're less a nation divided into 50 states than we are two nations that are both present in each of these states. Each is dominant in its own state, in its own space, like you, and certain that it is the real America. Yep. Yeah, 100%. You can measure some of this geographic democratic, it's like a demographic division in the 2020 election results. I misspoke. Trump won in 2,588 counties, covering most of the national landscape as Republican candidates usually do. This is why we are accustomed to election night maps that are strikingly red, even as the popular vote is closer leans Democratic. Which in this case they didn't. Biden. They say Biden won the popular vote, which is doubtful. I say doubtful. Just like Trump. Trump didn't win the popular vote and they got him in. Same with Biden. But let me continue. Biden, in dark contrast, carried only 551 counties, less than a quarter. Yes, too much inconsistencies with, the 2020 election to really say that. But let me continue. They're both puppeteering ways. Just one was chosen to accomplish a certain goal, man, that they needed to accomplish this time. But they still got Trump is still in bed with the elites. Best believe it. He's got his own, role that he got to play. But yeah, let me continue. Biden, in stark contrast, carried only 551 counties, less than a quarter as many as Trump. But the counties Biden carried had a total population of nearly 198 million, while Trump's together had just 130.3 million. That's a difference of nearly, get the fuck out of here, damn bugs. Nearly six, get out of here, man, what the fuck? Of nearly 68 million people, which they say, those were the numbers, but let me continue reading it or just reading this article. What it say? Spit the bones out. Put it another way, Biden won the counties that are home to 60% of the total U.S. population. It's hard to believe when staring at a map on which Biden's counties are scattered blue dots on the sea of red. But these blue dots are where most of the country lives. When you look at the top 10 states by metro percentage of total state population, Biden won all 10. Trump did win a few inner core urban counties here and there with a combined population of 4.7 million. Biden won the rest of that category with a combined population of 97 million, according to ESOL. Their numbers, man. But is they're for Biden this time, there's a ratio of 20-1. Moreover, the Biden counties are where most of the population growth is happening. Yeah, kind of sort of true, but you have yeah, it's like, bro, each side have they basically you have that, like, most of the population, yeah, is in the cities and shit, which is true, man. Then you have but the population out in the country, they in the city in Texas, man. The Jakes have over here, and even the Edomites that live in the cities over here, they got guns too, man. That's like, you know, people think that they don't, but they do. They do have uh guns and shit, but that's the blessing of Esau. Moreover, the Biden counties are where most of the population growth is happening. Less than a fifth of the counties account for 76% of the Latino or Hispanic community and 86% of Asian American community nationwide. So-called Asian American, well, that'd be mainly Moab and Ammon. Latino or Hispanic, mainly Northern Kingdom. Of course, I hate when they use them bywords, man. That's bullshit. The Civil War is self-fulfilling anxiety, the forces of disunity. No, it's not. But that's what they're basically trying to like play it down at the end. They're gonna bring all this out and then try to play it down and shit, man. That's what Esau does. Oh yeah. All these signs is pointing to this happening, but don't worry, it still might not happen. That's Esau, man. That's what he uses oh, to lure you back to sleep after all that, after that predictive programming. So he's saying that this Edomite is saying that civil war is a self-fulfilling anxiety. The forces of disunity are disquieting, to say the least. When must it all come to blows? Can we still center ourselves and pull back from whichever brink we're approaching? No, because it's prophecy. You can't stop the prophecies. They're unstoppable. Unstoppable. It's gonna happen. Habakkuk 2, Habakkuk 2, verse 3. O Khan, verse 1, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon a tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. When I am reproved. Verse 2, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it. Like, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. It will not tarry, man. It's happening. 2022, aka 2023. Esau was 2023, and if you got 2020 vision, you could see that Esau, you could see that Babylon is completely through, man. 2023. Man, 2023. Yep. The year of Yahweh. Hold on. The year of the year of Yahweh turning up. The year of Yahweh turning up. I was gonna say Yahweh shouldn't be Yahweh. But he's gonna turn up, man. You can see it. Them prophecies being shot out rapid fire, Yahweh he's clearly on his way, man. And Most High Yahweh, he's making them prophecies, happen you know, right after each other and shit. They're not slowing. They're picking up speed. So yeah, this civil war is gonna happen. It is gonna happen. And it's close. Huh? Okay, let me keep reading this. Okay, Irish Times writer Fintan O'Toole offered a cautionary message just before Christmas in the Atlantic, recounting some of the horrific memories from the Troubles, quote unquote, in his homeland in the late 1900s. Even then, he said, with all the provocation on both sides, quote unquote, it never got to a full blown civil war. It don't do to behave. It doesn't do to behave if our divisions must compel us to bloodshed, he adds, because dwelling on such thoughts and making such predictions may bring that prospect closer to reality, even if intended to do the opposite. And it's not. This is all predictive programming, man. That makes sense, especially if you believe that too much thinking about the unthinkable can become acceptance of the unthinkable. Just because they're pushing it, it's predictive programming and conditioning. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices over here. And however you personally regard the meaning of what happened on January 6, 2021, we know now that nothing in American politics is unthinkable. They keep pushing that too, that January 6, 2021, like that so-called insurrection that was set up, but it got both sides riled up. You know that even that event within metro areas, man. Yep, between neighborhoods in the same metro areas. It's gonna be it's gonna be like that, man. That's in second measures too. Not like the old days when it was full states that was on one side. Take San Antonio be like what I'm saying, man. San Antonio, the majority of San Antonio would be like on the Democratic side, especially areas where it's heavy J population. Be that shit it'd be like this. Man, fuck. On the table, there you go. But it would be like that. The suburbs and rural areas in blue states like Cali and New York, yep, they're Republican. And hold on. Let me get Get this right here. Let me get that second Ezra. 15. Verse 16. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yup. To the T. To the last letter, man. To the last letter. That right there will be a fulfillment. This time, another American Civil War, but this time in every state. And there's another article called "America's Asymmetric Civil War." Because you have, governors of these red states. They gonna, they gonna secede, but then within them states, you're gonna have the blue areas, man. They're gonna be like, nah. And then vice versa, you're gonna have in the blue states that choose to rock with Biden, man. You're gonna have those red areas that are like, no, fuck that. It's gonna be more like that instead. Yo. Yep, got that article by Tablet News, America's Asymmetric Civil War. It's within metro areas, not between the states. Yep, America's states seem, you see the same theme. America's states seem increasingly disunited. Divisions over controversies related to the DVOC lockdowns. Hold on. Got these troll bots on my shit. Well, spam. Well, they trolled me with spam. Is what they doing. It's fucking Edomites creating these spam bots. Pissed me off. Divisions over controversies related to DVOC. Those that know why we call it that. Because a DVOC, meaning in Hebrew, it goes into, it's not spelled like that, it's spelled different. Dibuk, which is an evil spirit capable of possessing other creatures, and is believed to be the suffering of soul of the dead, but it's really a demon. The Dibuk they say it's the soul of an evil person whose soul wants to evade the punishment and tries to stay in this dimension by possessing another body. But it's actually, demons. And it's from the Talmud. It shows the whole agenda. But anyways, behind that shit, really, behind the pandemic, really to put a chip in you, a grain of rice, And that potato chip, that grain of rice in you. That potato chip the size of a grain of rice in you. You know, if you get the drift. Let me continue. Lockdowns, mandates, school closures have accentuated existing splits among blue Democratic and red Republican states with respect to partisanship and attitudes toward crime and public policy. Some fear that these trends foretell a new civil war. Others welcome them as evidence of the saving genius of whatever. Others are founding the sign of a republic based on federalism, okay, whatever. But before you choose sides in the new conflict, and those are the ones that don't think that can ever happen here. But before you choose sides in a new conflict between the states, you need to know that the basic assumption is wrong. There is no actual divide by states, which are merely battlegrounds in a proxy war. The real civil war is between neighborhoods in the same metro areas, backed by asymmetrical allies. Asymmetrical, let me get what that means. Asymmetrical, having two sides or not. Oh, asymmetrical civil war, right? What's asymmetrical warfare, man? Let me get that. Unconventional strategies and tactics adopted by a force where the military capabilities of belligerent powers are not simply unequal, but are so significantly different that they cannot make the same sort of attacks on each other. And what the fuck? Let me see. In layman's terms, whatever. You know what they say, right? In everyday people's terms, man. Everyday people's terms. That's all that shit means. Alright, asymmetrical. Having parts that fail to correspond with one another in shape, size, or arrangement. Okay, lacking symmetry, asymmetry. Well, that's one version of that. Having parts or aspects that are not equal or equivalent, unequal. So asymmetrical warfare would basically be irregular warfare, same shit. Irregular warfare is defined. Hold on, what the fuck? It's defined in the U.S. joint doctrine as what the fuck? A right, violent struggle among state and non-state actors for legitimately influence over the right relevant populations. Yep, concepts associated with regular warfare are ordered in the term itself. Asymmetrical or irregular warfare. Yep. There are no, so yep. Let me continue. Ignore maps that show electoral results by state and look at county maps or maps of U.S. House districts. At this level of granularity, state borders disappear. There are no red states or blue states. Instead, there are blue urban cores floating in a sea of red. Even exurbs. That's a fucking suburb, I believe. Exurb is suburb. They could just say suburb. Why the fuck they gotta say exurb? Fucking Esau. Just say suburb. It means the same shit. Oh, okay. Outskirt. They could just say outskirts, motherfuckers. Slacking. This means outskirt, basically. It's an area outside the typically denser inner suburban area of metropolitan areas. So, outskirts, man. but it's also a fucking suburb. Wait, no, it's different. Suburbs, exurbs. No, exo outside. What that goes into. So would like be like within or something like that. Nasty. Um, yeah, the outskirts of San Antonio, for example, they would be more Republican. Even the outskirts or exurbs and rural areas in blue states like California and New York tend to be overwhelmingly red and Republican. Yup. There's not a difference between city and country. Yeah, yeah, man. There's suburbs of New York where you have these Edomites that's there, man, and they have these proud red Edomites, and speckled birds. That's like they're they're heavily Republican and shit, which is basically the party for those that's you know, proud, basically proud to be so-called white type shit, man. This is not a difference between city and country. Hardly any Americans live or work on farms or ranches anymore. The big divide is between metro areas, between blue downtowns and their inner ring suburbs that are home to, but also, yeah, you have these rich ass Edomites that are Republicans and shit. They're home to the American oligarchy and its children and retainers, and the red exurbs. Okay, inner ring suburbs. Yeah, man, like Alamo Heights, example of that. And the red exurbs, outer ring suburbs tend to be battlegrounds between the Democratic and Republican coalitions. Yep. Yeah, because that's where you have, them country ass Edomites, and you got some Jakes among them. This geographic, okay, yeah, concentration hurts the Democrats in, man, where the fuck? Let me get to the point. Basically, in the cities, man. Yeah, if I continue reading through all this shit, man, it's gonna just drag on. So you have basically the downtown areas, urban areas is like leaning more towards Democrats, and the outskirts and the suburbs, and then the small towns out there, man. They're more, you know, Republican Trump supporters and shit, showing you that, yeah, man, it's not gonna be like one state that's just Republicans. That's just Republican, and one state that's just Democratic. It's literally gonna be between neighbors. Yeah, could see it. All right. Basically, it goes into the differences between the Democratic and the Republican, like how the Democratic and the Republican, like base, basically, really goes in to Amos 3:3. Two to walk together and be agreed. Also goes into Second Ezra 15 and 16, because it's gonna be even people in your own neighborhood. Hold on. All right, but anyways, let me get back to it. Let me get back. Well, anyways, I think I addressed the points. All right, I want to hold this law was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Hashem Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truth and in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. Shalom to the and shalom to the rest of the elect. Hope this law was edifying to y'all. Hope this law was edifying to y'all. We almost out of here. These prophecies is popping off, man. These prophecies is popping off. Shalom, stay strong, and hey, Esau's through. I could probably do part 2, part 3 to this live. It's not good for lives to be that long, anyways. Shalom, stay strong, and Abba Babal, Abba, which means dead to Babylon, the Hebrew. Abba La Adawamium, dead to these Edomites. Abba La Gawayim, dead to these heathens. And Abba La 2/3, dead to, you wicked ass 2/3 of Israel, and it's coming. Most High Yahweh, He is going to bring it. With the worst, with Esau getting it the worst, then the heathens, being in slavery for 1,000 years and going back to their land under, still, being slaves, but in their land. Because can't rule none of you heathen. And then the 2/3 dying that horrible death and then coming back. Shalom, stay strong, Yasharallah forever. Until next time. Hey, no, Shalom, stay strong. You know, keep keep your head up and your hopes up. And Yashrala forever in a Bob. Yashrala forever in a Bob ball.